Coach Massi here, CEO of M2 Speed, Strength, and Performance, with another episode of Move Your Feet. We're going to be answering a viewer's question, so here we go. Hi, Coach Matt and Coach Guy. I appreciate your series and answering viewer questions. I saw a reel on your Instagram where a younger and older athlete were performing what looked like an elevated bound with oscillation sticks. Is there a regression to this movement, or do you have a similar bounding progression for a wide demographic of my clients? Nate Diaz, Simi Valley, California, Nate's Hardcore. Well, Nate, thank you for the question, and I'll call Coach Matt right in for this. So I believe that the Instagram post he was talking about was a reel. We have a father and a son.
Yeah.
The Fastigies, right? And they were doing this L progression that we talk about. They were doing it as a plyometric and proprioceptive progression, which obviously has some agility in it. So I figured we'll just break it down for Nate a little bit and start with, you know, the client that you've instilled biomechanics in already, who doesn't really run the risk of hurting themselves because you've went through that biomechanical installation or installation process. And if you want more on that, just email us, and myself or Maddie will get you the protocol for installing biomechanics to make sure that people are landing correctly first and then also jumping correctly. And real little piece on this is, before we get going, it's our opinion that you can jump one leg to one leg. You can jump one leg to two legs, or I should say hop, right?
Yeah.
Hop one leg and then land on two, the bilateral landing. But you should never really jump from two legs and land on one leg, only because of the amount of force created by that bilateral jump to try to land and stick it on that one leg. That's our opinion on it. It's a risk versus reward type situation, but you know, that's just where we stand on that. So this is called the L progression, or the L plyometric progression, and it's a really simple progression. We call it the L progression because the movement, it looks like an L. This is the simplest version of it. So Maddie's going to get in there, and what he's going to do is, I want you to watch. He's going to use that inside edge of his left foot to push him and propel him from here, land on the right foot here, and then have a bilateral landing as he jumps out vertically. So he goes into lateral to vertical protocol. Boom. Stupid simple. No elevation here, because this is where you're starting. Maybe your older clientele, maybe the 50-something or so, who you want doing some plyometric progressions that also works the proprioception. But what's really interesting about this is when he sets up, what we're looking at is when he pushes off that left foot, that's where he begins to create that ground reaction force. When he comes laterally, he strikes down here again. He's going to get more ground reaction force, and he's going to borrow that to lend it to the next movement. We're big create, borrow, lend people as far as it goes with ground reaction forces. So easiest way to just have a variable, change the degree of difficulty when you see that looks pretty clean, is just drop those hurdles on top of each of those lines, Maddie. Boom and boom. So now that's very simple. It's a simple upsell for him, right? So Maddie, make sure you're pushing off that inside edge. We're big on inside and outside edges of your feet, and knowing that whether or not you're a hockey player, when you cut, when you make directional changes, you're going to be utilizing inside, outside edges of your feet. He's really pushing down into that. He's not just in that sweet spot of his foot. The kinetic chain, lower kinetic chain, is getting lit up all the way into the glute. Good glute drive. You're going to want to take a look at this. Make sure they're getting full extension, and just performing it again. Little variable here, little degree of difficulty. Boom. Okay, so that's how you raise the degree of difficulty without adding any resistance. Obviously, if we took even bigger hurdles and we placed them here, now we're talking about another degree of difficulty. Absolutely not rocket science at all, but what we really like about this progression, it's clean. When we set it up, we have the tape, we have the smaller hurdles, we have the bigger hurdles, or I should say higher hurdles, right in the proximity. So you could just take your clients through this progression as part of their rotation, and it's pretty simple. Maddie, let's do this one without clipping the hurdles. Boom. And you know, you don't hear a ba-boom when Maddie's jumping. You hear when he lands, it's a clean bilateral landing. Now, Maddie, if you can just hand me the stopwatch, please. Okay, stopwatch or phone whichever it is. We're looking for the one point of contact for the ground contact time formula, which is going to be right here. Now, if you have multiple ground contact points that you would like to formulate and collect data on, then obviously go to your phone, so you can just use your lap counter, go back, and then you could start to really take a look at how to formulate that. And, you know, keep some metrics and some data on people's ground contact time and diminishing their ground contact time. If you don't have a fancy item like a plyomat or a just jump or something, I don't even know if the just jump measures the ground contact time, but if you don't have some sort of plyometric data collection mat, then boom, we're right back to this, cheap and easy. Your phone, you have one of those already, get on that. So when he does this progression, I'm going to be focused right here. Hit to go. So go ahead, Matty, hit it. Okay, so that's one way to do it, where I measured the time from here to the landing. Now, what I'm really more concerned about, and I really want to get my data on, is how long he stays there, okay? So let's do that one more time. Okay, so now I have data about a 0.50 for how long he stayed there. His time from here to his bilateral landing was a 0.50. His complete and total time was about 0.90. So at least I have a couple of metrics to measure now from the time he strikes here, then departs, and strikes here and lands. So strike to landing was 0.90, strike to takeoff, 0.50. And little by little, you can start adding variables to this movement. Obviously, if you're going to do it one way, you're going to have to do it the other way. And you can also do some things like, you know, Maddie, jump across, land, and immediately do a vertical jump at the end, okay? Set, boom. Here, here, boom. Okay, you can keep adding and adding and adding. That can turn into a 180 jump. You can be very creative with it, Maddie. You can head right off camera. And this is a very, very simple baseline progression. Next time we come through this, we're going to start showing you how to add some resistance to this and how to ramp it up a little bit. But until next time, Coach Massi here from M2, Speed, Strength, and Performance. And greatness is forged, not fabricated. That's your day.